I started training 15 years ago. I got into it with MMA initially. Then I got into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and boxing and Muay Thai and started to specialize a little bit. During my 4 years there, beyond just training, I was used to cover classes. Then I started to teach classes, helping my teammates get ready for fights and just really embrace the whole coach's path. And then I started my own striking program that I ran for a little over a year before deciding to open up my own school. When you're first starting out, you got to do it smart and you got to do it small. I felt that was the best way to go about it, given all the unknowns when going into opening your own business. So I found a little spot that was 1,100 square feet, and I thought it was everything I needed to get started. So I got to work, and my friends and I started to build it out. Fortunately, I had a good job at the time, so I was able to take some money out of my 401k. I took another small loan, and the rest I put on a business credit card. I was super excited, so this build only took me, I think it was just a couple weeks. Now that was the physical build itself. The weeks leading up to it, you have to plan, you have to build a website, you have to shop around, find the real estate that you're looking for, negotiate the lease, sign the lease. You have to contact vendors. You need to get the equipment that you're looking for, whether you're working with Rev Gear, Hayabusa, or someone else. You got to find quality products to put into your gym. You got to get mats. You got to plan. If you're using contractors, you have to plan for their work. It's so much more than just throwing down some mats and telling people that you have a gym. So many people think it's so easy, but it is not. Not if you want to build an actual business, a business that will last, not just a place for you and your friends to practice techniques on each other. I opened the doors on 12/12/2014 to a whopping 6 students. We often have these dreams and aspirations and visions that when we do something, when we open a business, it's just going to take off like a rocket. And that is seldom the case. If it's going to be good, if it's going to be successful, sometimes it's good to have a slow start, because then you have the time to learn how to build it up. Mainly what you learn is if you have the drive and willingness or just pure passion to work hard at building it up, building it into the dream that you have. Often, people discover how lazy they really are, or they don't take the time to try to grow and better themselves in an effort to better their business, educate themselves, grow in every way possible. And that's why businesses fail. That first year was not hugely successful. I topped out at about 30 members. I had to take on personal training clients to keep the bills paid, but I did not lose any money. The bills were paid. I still had to work my regular job, but I wasn't profitable. I believed in what I was providing. I believed in the way I was doing it. I had confidence in the business structure that I had created, but I needed to learn more. I needed to be a better instructor and a better businessman. So I got back into training. I started training at different places, training with my old coaches, training with new coaches, and I took a trip to Thailand, to the Mecca, to see how they taught, to understand the appeal that they created for their students. Why did so many want to train Muay Thai at these gyms? And beyond looking at the instruction itself, I paid attention as I was traveling and training at other gyms. I paid attention to their business models, how they ran their business, how their front desk was done, everything. I came back with a renewed vigor. I was ready to grow. I was ready to build my dream school, to grow my student base, provide a degree of martial arts that I had not seen yet in my area. I had to do it different. I couldn't do it the same way as everyone else, but taking parts of what I saw working in the more successful schools around me, and then making it my own. The best piece of advice I was given at the time was from one of my mentors who had a very successful school, and he said the most important thing was culture. I had to decide on the culture and build it. This culture would be what would attract the type of student that I was looking for. This type of student would find a home on our mats, a community that they were excited and proud to be a part of. On the business side, I had to learn much about marketing. I had to hire and fire social media people. I had to learn about SEO. I had to make mistakes. I had to burn money. I had to buy ads to no avail, learn what worked, learn what didn't. During this period of personal growth on my side, over the next 2 years, we grew 30% year over year, going to 60 plus members. At that point, we had gotten to a size where we had pretty much outgrown our little 1,100 square feet that we started with. But I was still working my job. We still weren't making enough for me to do my gym full time. So would it be worth it to invest in another location, a new location, something more expensive, when I wasn't even making the money that I was hoping to make? When looking at the classes and believing in the potential growth, I had to accept that we had to expand in order to hit the numbers that I wanted to. We simply needed more space for more students, so I started looking for a new location. And I found one pretty quick, but everything was double. The good news, it was double the space that we previously had. So this was almost 3,000 square feet, but it was also double all the expenses, double the rent, double the utilities, double the insurance, double everything. This doesn't even take into account the cost of the build out of the site or the cost of more square footage of new mats, more equipment in general, and just everything overall. This place was going to cost 2.5 times the amount I invested in the first location. And I still had not fully paid off the loans from my first location, so I had to take on new loans for this new location on top of the loans from the previous location. This was scary. Would this be worth the investment? I opened the doors of the second location in November of 2017. This location took between 4 and 6 weeks total to build. That was with coordinating with vendors, contractors, and doing a lot of the work ourselves. But we did it, and we hit our grand opening on the day. Once open, we were doing great. Although, unfortunately, the initial move cost us a percentage of our members who weren't willing to make the drive, but we recovered those numbers pretty quickly, and the first year in our new location, we hovered between 60 and 75 members. So we didn't see a huge spike, but we were making enough money to keep all the bills paid with a little bit put in savings. The culture we had created was successful in building a growing community. Marketing, SEO, and ads was still stressful, but we were learning every day. Our second year at this location and 5th year in business saw a nice bump. We started hovering around 90, 95 members. We hadn't quite broken 100, but we were making enough to pay off our debt, and I was able to quit my full-time corporate job and focus on the school full-time. A couple of my mentors advised me that I would never get as big as I truly wanted it if I didn't invest all my time and effort into it. Now, full disclosure, I still couldn't pay myself adequately, so I did have to get a part-time job for a couple years. But man, we were on fire. I felt so confident in my instruction, my structure of the class and the curriculum, what we were teaching, how we were teaching it, how we were operating our business, what we were doing in retail. If you see in this footage, you see that everyone is wearing our gear. We were doing great business. Then, unfortunately, like everyone else, we were hit with the pandemic. During that time, we had to close our doors for almost 2 months. And even when we reopened, we had to follow specific rules for health and safety. We ensured that we were fully compliant. But during that time, we lost 60% of our members. During isolation, I decided to pay our rent instead of my mortgage in an effort to keep this dream alive. We just had to make it through isolation. And when we reopened, we took off. It was gradual in the back half of 2020, but when 2021 hit, we blew up. On the business side, my wife had been laid off from a company she was loyal to for 22 years, and she decided she was done with the corporate world, and she came on full time, and I was able to fire all my social media, SEO, and marketing people, and she took all that work on and did a job that was 5 times better than anything I was paying for previously. I once again was reinvigorated as an instructor and a school owner, and I was even more passionate than ever before, and that came out in my instruction, and our culture grew under that leadership. We not only surpassed the 100 mark, we shot up to 150 members over the course of the next 2 years. Now let's talk about competition teams and their role in growing our martial arts school. My views on running a fight gym, well, they may be a little controversial. I think that's because people misunderstand what it really means to run a fight or competition team. There's this belief out there, this myth, that if you have a great fight team, your mats will suddenly be flooded with new students, eager to join. But trust me, it doesn't work like that. I know because I've been there. I've built competition teams. I've had fighters win titles across boxing, kickboxing, Muay Thai, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and even MMA. And you know what? It never translated into a flood of new members. We track everything, how people find us, why they contact us, and it's not because they saw one of our fighters win a belt. And honestly, I didn't want it to work that way. You see, I don't run a fight gym. I run a martial arts school. I don't want fighters. I want martial artists. My fighters know this. They refer to themselves as martial artists who fight. Why? Because I want students here for the right reasons, for the journey, for longevity. The truth is, people looking for fight gyms often aren't in it for the long haul. They want shortcuts, to jump into the ring or cage after just a couple months of training. And I've seen what happens when they do. I came up in fight gyms. I know how this story ends. Weak fundamentals, shaky mental prep, and they get thrown to the wolves unready. That's not what I want for my students. Not anymore. I tell anyone who walks through the doors the same thing. We need a year of consistent training before we even talk about amateur fights. A year. Because let's be real, you don't even know how to throw a punch yet. First, you need to learn to be a martial artist, to love the style that you're training, to love the training itself. When you fall in love with the art, fight camps and competition become much easier. Because now you're in it for the process. Now, of course, BJJ, we don't require a year. It's just a little different. If you know, you know. I didn't always understand this. When I first started my competition teams, I did what I saw at other fight gyms, and I rushed it. I threw students into competition too early. They weren't ready. Not physically, not mentally, and worst, it started to tear at my culture, the culture we'd worked so hard to cultivate. There was this imbalance. Fighters resented the regular students felt overlooked, and some fighters, they thought they deserved all of my time because they competed. They thought they were more important than the students. The most important. That was never the culture I wanted. So when we reopened after the pandemic, I made a decision. I shut competition down completely. I refocused on my students, all of them. Over time, as our new community began to grow, we started rebuilding our competition team. But this time, my stance was clear. No one is above the students. I don't care if you're a champion. The students will always be my priority. That shift created something beautiful, humility, respect. Our champions, they attend regular classes alongside everyone else. Some students don't even know who they are. They don't realize those belts on the wall belong to the guy training next to them, and that's how it should be. Of course, my fighters still get their fight camp time in with me. That's extra time I give because they've earned it. They've put in the hours, they respect that, and they respect the school as a whole. No egos here, because at the end of the day, martial arts is about humility. And you know what? I've never been more in my element than I am right now. Our standards, our culture, it works. We do very well. I don't need professional fighters in major organizations. I don't run a fight gym. I run a martial arts school. If competition is the path one of my students chooses, I will support them with everything I have. But at the end of the day, my goal is simple: to create and grow martial artists, lifelong martial artists. That's what matters most to me. After 6 years at the second location and with 175 members, it was time for a new gym. So we came upon a clothing store that was closing and felt it would provide exactly what we needed to build a new school. And this school would have the things that we wanted to add to build our dream location. I got into negotiations for the lease and hammered that out pretty quickly, and we got to work. We weren't starting from zero, as we moved a lot of what we had from the old location, but now we have 4,100 square feet to fill. So we would have to spend a decent amount on this build. We had a contractor do certain things that we just couldn't, like plumbing and some electrical, and we also had him do the flooring. And he gave us a really good deal, so we did have him do the paint, as he was able to get that work done in a matter of days. And that would have taken us much longer if we did it ourselves. We felt it was well worth the cost. We did all the rest of the breakdown and rebuild, and our members and friends stepped up and helped where they could. And that was of a tremendous help. But my wife and I were in the space 16 hours a day.
These have been some long days, y'all.
This paid off as we got all the major work done in 2 weeks. The rest of it was waiting on shipments and putting things together as they arrived. This location was scary, as it would cost triple everything. Triple the rent, triple the insurance, triple the cost to build it. But my wife was adamant that we would continue to grow because of the culture and the reputation we had built. And now, we'd have a new amazing facility for our students. The best we've had so far, our dream gym. Within the first 3 weeks, we had the students already transitioning to the new facility as we continued to receive equipment and we continued our build out.
Wow, Junior.
Let's get it, RMT, baby! Yeah, that's the one. Ready? And 1, 2, right there. Ready? No, we're good. It's on. Okay.
Also, we were working out the permits and business licenses, insurance, and signage, and so on. The things that are necessary to legally and comfortably operate a business. We completed the build and were fully open and operating in just under 5 weeks. Now here we were after 9 years in business. We were in the biggest, nicest, and most complete martial arts school we have ever had, and we were ready for more growth. And with all the hard work and commitment to this dream, we got exactly that. At this point in my life, I've been on this journey for 15 years. 15 years of learning, teaching, and growing. For 12 of those years, I've been an instructor, and for the past decade, I've run my own martial arts school. 10 years of hard work, dedication, and relentless passion. This isn't just about martial arts, it's about building something bigger, a community, a home for people to improve themselves, to grow, and to belong. When my wife and I set out to create our latest facility, we adopted a simple mantra: second home. We wanted to build a space where people could spend hours, even entire days if they wanted to, and some of them do. This isn't just a gym for them. It's a haven, a community. Friendships are forged here. Loyalty and pride grow here. Personal betterment is fostered here. We're more than just instructors to them. They're more than just students to us. I know it might sound cliche, but they become like family. This isn't some modern, disconnected community where people only occasionally interact. No, this is different. This is traditional. This is a tribe. I came here with nothing. I've had to work for everything I've ever had. Nothing was ever handed to me, and that's okay. I do not fear hard work. 20 years in the corporate world taught me stability. But when I rediscovered martial arts, it changed everything. It gave me a new purpose. I left that corporate structure to chase a dream I had to build from the ground up. When my wife joined this journey, she didn't just support my dream, she elevated it. She brought a level of passion and drive that took everything to new heights. I don't think this was her dream, but her passion for helping people, for building something meaningful, aligns with mine. That kind of partnership, that kind of energy is unstoppable. We just celebrated 10 years, a decade of growth, challenges and triumphs, and we're not slowing down. Not even close. The future is bright, and the work continues.